Hello Snares again. Right, here's our opener tutorial video. Right, we're gonna break this down. We're gonna do a lot of counting. We'll play through it kind of a couple times maybe. You're obviously more than welcome to rewind and pause the video and replay anything that needs further explanation. All right, and if you have questions, you guys know how to contact me, and we'll talk about that. Okay, let's look at the first two bars. Pretty easy. We're just gonna count the first two bars. Got it? 1, 3, 1, 2. Ready, go. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. Pretty easy there, right? Obviously, we're just counting the check pattern, not the diddles. Sometimes we'll do some singing of the diddles. Da, digga, 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 da. For now, we're just counting the check, okay? Next two bars. Let's count those two bars. 1, 3, and 1, 2. Ready, go. 1, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1. Make sense? Let's play those 4 bars one time. Here we go. 1, 3, and 1, 2. Ready, go. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1 and a 2 and 3 and 1, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1. Everything's pretty big there, right? So pretty big, trying to get it back to 12 inches. We might be able to go vertical with that. It just kind of depends on where we're at on the field in relationship to the winds, okay? So we'll talk about that later. Next measure, pretty easy to count, right? 1, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1. A couple things about that is you have the 3 flams on the right hand. Anytime you have multiple flams, just like earlier in the left hand, right? Aim for the 3rd flam or the last flam. Otherwise, you're gonna get a decrescendo. We don't want that. We want, if anything, almost a crescendo, right? But if you think about that, you actually, what you'll probably achieve is 3, even accents versus a crescendo there, right? So just aim for the last one, it'll actually make it even, okay? Next bar, that needs some breaking down, right? It's based on 2 quarter note triplets. That's really the big picture there, right? 1 lead la, 3 lead la, 1. Sticking wise, right, left, right. So let's just play that check pattern once. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. 1 lead la, 3 lead la, 1. Pretty easy, right? The next step would be to fill in the 3s on the first quarter note triplet, and they're pretty slow. You gotta stroke them out. 1, 2, or 1, 2, ready, you go. 1 lead la, 3 lead la, 1. Okay. The next part would be fill in the second quarter note triplet, right? Really, you can break it down to 8th note triplets. 3 la li, 4 la li, 1. That's a perfect right. 3 la li, 4 la li, 1. Right. Big picture all together. Measure 8. Here we go. Do that together. Try measure 6 and count. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 lead la, 3 lead la, 1. I'll do it one more time. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. 1 lead la, 3 lead la, 1. Okay. All right, let's do that whole phrase one time, beginning to 7, right? This is a slow tempo. The tempo changes the next bar, so this is obviously eventually 120 tempo. Right now, 100. Here we go. Beginning to measure 7. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, all right, nice and big there. Cool. All right, next few bars. 10, not worried about it. Obviously, 11, 12, 13, 14. Nothing really tricky there. Triplets to 8th notes. Don't rush the 8th note diddles, right? They're pretty slow, right? Look at the tenuto markings on beat 3 of measure 13, right? Just means we're going to play that not like strict 3. They're going to go like 6. And the reason is so we can have a little room to decrescendo on beat 4. 4 la li. We want to get that down before we crescendo in 14, right? So I'll play those 2 bars for you once. We're going to do that at tempo 120. 13 and 14. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Notice how much space that is in that second bar. Do one more time. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready. 1, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1 and a 2 B and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. Cool. At A, pretty easy first 2 bars. Shots, double shots on on 1 and 3. Pretty easy there. 17 and 18. Those are 16-note rhythms, right? We count those one time. Let's do that. 17, 18. Count those rhythms. 16-note stuff. It should be easy, right? 1, 2, measure 17 and 18. 1, 2 and a 3 and a 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1. Right? Some low diddles in there. Some two left-hand flams. Some right-hand accents. Should be pretty good. We'll go back and play that as part of a larger chunk in a second. The next 2 bars, 19 and 20. Right, we got an 8th note 5-let roll. That's worth taking a second and thinking about. Right, I would practice that quite often. Right, you probably know, I don't know how many is in this opener, but I would venture to say more than 7. Right, those 8th note 5-let rolls. So spend some time working on that. Right, the first thing is the check. Right, and then add a diddle. So here's what I would do: try measurement 120. Right, and count and play the check. 1, 2, ready and go. Opportunity 3. Again, 2, ready, go. Opportunity 3. Okay, diddles. 1, 2, ready and go. Opportunity 3. Again, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Opportunity 3. Okay. Notice I'm playing those about 6-inch on those diddles there, right, with a nice 12-inch accent. Okay. All right. So then 19, 20. Let's count. Let me talk about the 8th note 5. Let's count those 2 bars. The rest of it's 8th note based. 1, 2. 1, 2, ready, go. Opportunity 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Right? Notice they're left cheese. Worth taking time to work on obviously left flams, right? And then adding a diddle to that flam, thus giving us a cheese. Okay? All right. We're going to keep going. The next bar, right? Measure 21. Again, a bar that's based off quarter note triplets, right? You have 1, lead, la, 3, lead, la, 1. So 4 left hand quarter triplets, then 3 that takes you to bar 22. All right, let's just play that first. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. 1, lead, la, 3, lead, la, 1. Okay. Then you obviously fill in the second and third of those triplets, both in the first beat and the third beat, with patadas. First left patadas and then right patadas. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. 1, lead, la, 3, lead, la, 1. Not super tricky there. Obviously, quality of the double. Keep it nice and open and tripletized. Okay. Next measure 23 or 22. Right. 1 lead, 2 la, lead down, and then 3 and a 4 and a 1 crescendo up. Yeah. All right. Let's take that as a large chunk. We'll do it 2 times. Measure 17 to 23. I'm not worried about the shots. Okay. 17 to 23. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 1. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's try it one more time. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, and a 3, and a 4, and 1, and 2, and a 3, and 4, and opportunity 3, and 4, and a 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, lead, la, 3, lead, la, 1, lead, 2, la, lead, 3, and a 4, and a 1. A little bit of meat in there when it gets up tempo, but not bad. 26, not worried about. B, 27, 28, again, not worried about. At 29, nothing too tricky. 8th note based stuff. We have a right cheese in this phrase, a left flan drag, okay, and then a 7-stroke roll that crescendos, not too bad there. 31 and 32, right, triplet rhythm. 1, 2, 3 la, li, 4 la, li, 1 la, li, 2 la, li, 3 la, li, 4 la, li, 1. Let's work on that. Let's count that and play. Just count that one time. Okay. 1, 2, 31 and 32. 1, 2, 3 la, li, 4 la, li, 1 la, li, 2 la, li, 3 la, li, 4 la, li, 1. Make sense? Pretty easy. That'll be 12 to 3. Long as you're able to count that, shouldn't be a problem. Measure 33. Right. This infamous. I know is floating around that we have this inverted 9 roll. Right. Right. The big trick about this, you know, if you look at it, right, one thing that is kind of strikes me is that it's this. It'd be like you're playing an 8th note 5-let roll. Opportunity 1, opportunity 1. But obviously there's a space because you're taking out that first diddle on the downbeat. In this, if you stretch each of those notes to equal out, it becomes an 9-let. There's a 5-let. Here's a 9-let. right? So work on that. That's a good way to think about, hey, if we can do the 5-lit roll, if we slur it all together, we have the 9-lit inverted roll, right? And those two things are great. If we play both those interpretations consistently, I think both of them will be really impressive. I think our 8th note 5-lit rolls will be the best they've ever been, okay? So that measure, check it out. Here's what I would do. Here's the 33. Let's play those coordinate, so the inverted 9-lit roll, okay? 1, 2, and go. At this tempo, pretty slow diddles, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, ready to go. So again, I'll loop that. 34, we have another 9-lit with the first triplet taken out, right hand. Then we have a puttada, then a duppata, right, left with the accent left hand. Puttada, duppata, right? And then we have a shot on 3, a 4, a 1. Really easy there. 35, there'll be triplet based buzz rolls that are the forte piano roll. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Immediately down one sting note, get all the way down, right? Measure 36, 8th note bass stuff, low stuff. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. Probably a 6-inch accent on that paradiddle. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. Right, 37, right, we're playing every other beat of a chord note triplet, split between the snares and the bass and the quads. So 1 lead la 2, sorry, 1 lead la 3, sorry, I'll do it again. 1, 2, ready to go. 1 lead la 3 lead la. That's a word to say. So that's 1 la and then lead. 1 lead la 3 la lead. Right, 3 lead la. Sorry, Lee again. Okay. Otherwise, it's pretty easy. When you hit the track, it goes boom chock, boom chock, boom chock. That's pretty easy. Right. Measure 38. It's gonna be a double step 1, and then decrescendo. So 2, 3, 4, 1. You'll probably take that to the bed. That'd be the first time we actually use the bed situation. Right. 1, 2 la lead, 3 la lead, 4 lead. Push it out to the edge. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's take another big phrase. This is gonna be 29 all the way to C. 29 to C. Check it out. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, there you go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2 lolly. Okay? Yeah, lots of stuff in there. All right, let's do that again. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready to go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 Okay? And that takes us up to C snares, right? So feel free to rewind and go through that again, obviously lots of times, right? And that's 120, so we want you to do it but 130. So it's a little bit faster than that. So practice that several times and then speed it up to 130 to record. On your first video, I think the first tempo is 100, right? And the second tempo is 130. Okay, so if you can figure that out, you don't have to do that in one continuous cut, obviously, unless you're fancy and can program metronome really well, right? So if you want to do the first part of 100, start at measure 10. That's totally fine with me. Again, if you have any questions, contact me, right? It's easier to talk about specific questions because we're not in person. I don't know what measure might just trip you up for whatever reason. And obviously that measure is not going to be the same for all 5 snare drummers. So the more you can kind of individualize and personalize your questions, I think the better off that'll be. All right, hope that's helpful, right? Happy practicing.